tonight's episode, Murder by the Numbers.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Good and welcome everybody to our Daily Gun Show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for an hour. On Mondays, try to take a look at why you might want to be an activist and how to be an activist, behind the scenes, the tools and tips, tricks and techniques of being an activist. And this weekend I've been working on a calendar for next year. So what we're going to do is take a look at that using the InDesign software inside of Adobe, and it's pretty decent. It's a publishing software. I'm going to try to get it arranged on the screen here. For everybody that's watching us live, there's a section of the screen here devoted to the comments in real time. Thanks to everybody who's joining us live. I don't say it enough, but thanks to the people that moderate on our channels to keep the spam and the garbage off of there. Try to keep conversation going at the same time, keep it pleasant for everybody. So I appreciate the work of people doing that. All right, just kind of moving around the screen so we can see everything. I'm going to close some of these kind of windows over here, whatever these are, menus. And okay, I guess I'm going to have to squish them. So I'm going to squish all these things. So this Adobe software is pretty handy. It lets us do a lot of stuff. One of the things it lets you do is modify the workspace into however you want it to be. So I just happen to be using all this stuff, all those different tools there, and I just smushed them over to the side. Now I'm kind of wiggling with my mouse. So what we're looking at is a preview of the project. So it's not going to have the best resolution necessarily, because it will kind of give you a version of it in the editing phase. When it prints, all this stuff that looks, I don't know if it's coming through on the screen or not, but it's kind of pixelated. That's just because, again, it's kind of a version of it just to give you the layout. When it prints in full quality or whatever. So anyway, we have, I started with a calendar that we set up in 2021 for the Firearms Museums. So that's the artwork in this section of it. But what we're essentially looking at is a cover, and then these little red dots here are where the hole would be if this was a wall calendar. So Jacob's asking if I got that package. No, I have not. I haven't been over to the mailbox place, but thanks. Let's see. So the cover, and then this would be like the inside. So as you open it up, the artwork in this calendar is from the Firearms Museum calendar that we did in 2021, where each month features one of the firearms museums. We started out with the Browning Museum in January. So that artwork can be swapped out, though, and we have some ideas on how to do that coming up for this 2023 calendar. But essentially, this is the 2023 Firearms calendar, and I'll scroll back down again. So on the top page, you'll get some like let's call them bullet points, some of the big events, the multi-day events that are coming up, the annual events. And then each of the days in the calendar attempt to pull some of our Shooter's Almanac events, some of our firearms history. Now I'm biased, so I have a lot of military events and history in here. And then some of the standard holidays, just for some of us that might forget when some of the standard ones are and not be paying attention to them coming up. We've got anniversaries and some stuff from firearms inventions. Let me zoom in a little bit more. That's a bit too much. So what I do is I basically have all the stuff we would have over on the Gun Calendars website. So one of our, we're gun websites, right? That's because of websites. So one of the websites is guncalendars.com. And that's where pretty much all this information and a lot more is posted on an interactive calendar. We've been doing this for years and years. And again, this is thanks to our Patreons. There's a scroll going at the bottom of the screen. It's the Patreons that subscribe to our projects. And part of our projects are these websites that have been out there since 2000, so many of them since 2004 when we started putting our websites together. YouTube came along and we started doing videos, but our websites are what we do. And this information is to keep people informed. It's to archive the information and then to just kind of record history for the future. Keep it all in one place, make it easier to sort, essentially. So you can go to guncalendars.com and find all of this. But it's a calendar. It's interactive, and you click on something and you get more information about it, type of thing. So it's all that information listed here, but we didn't put the passing, the deaths of everyone. The calendar has the births and the deaths when someone's already passed, unless it's something that's significant. I tried to keep the thing less cluttered because it gets very full when there's 2 entries for every person in history, but it also, it's just a little bit more down. So we have mostly the birthdays of everybody in here, unless, again, it's in something important or it's significant. Then, of course, the industry events, some of the stuff that people might plan for or look forward to, and hopefully give people some awareness of some stuff. Now, I haven't put all the hunting ones in there, so I'm looking for some feedback. There's been, the craziness of the last few years, unpredictability of events, or I should say attendees. So a lot of the events went virtual, and they might have done that for 1 or 2 years. So some of the hunting events I'm not sure if they've all come back, let's say. Some of them may have, some of them may have decided to stay virtual. So I have Sheep Show in here. It used to be called Sheep Week, for example, and it used to be a week in January before anything else. And it's for people that shoot and hunt sheep, I guess. They spend a week talking about how great sheep are, and imagine there's whatever they do. It's kind of like a mini SHOT Show for sheep hunters. And they talk about the issues that sheep hunters have, management of wildlife. I'm sure, what should I say, the resource management and accessibility is all issues. There's a lot of the sheep are in public lands. So I'm sure they've got their own specific challenges and interests. Any of you they must have, because they've been doing this for a week. But it's down to 3 days, I guess is what I was saying. So now they call it Sheep Show. And, we got that show I always like to talk about. That's a mini industry show for just the surplus stores. And that happens the week before SHOT Show. I guess I forgot to put in here the antique gun show. So let me should be making some notes here somewhere. I got to put the antique gun show that happens right after SHOT Show. Anyway, then we get into February. I had the J.M. Davis Museum for February, the Browning Museum for January. Some of the big events are the Hunting Expo and the Great American Outdoor Show. So we've got a bunch of different anniversaries again and birthdays. Some things like Michigan ending prohibition on hunting with suppressors. There's a lot of those in there. I tried to color code the events. So usually the green items are changes in law or things like this, kind of successes with CCW or hunting with suppressors, things like that. There's some awareness like the bans on import, for ammo and for different firearms over time. So then we've got this hunting expo that happens up in Salt Lake City. Then we've got the Great American Outdoor Show, kind of a unique show that happens for 9 days, covers 2 weekends. It happens just after SHOT Show. A lot of people talk about that one over in Pennsylvania. Again, lots of different patents and adoptions, things like state rifles, patents for firearms, and then like somebody like Dick Gasul on his birthday, I'm going to include a drawing of the mini revolver if I can do it. Going into when is this going to be? March. We've got the 45th Infantry Division Museum in Oklahoma. And again, the artwork can be different this year. I've got it set up in a way that can be interchanged real easily. Then we've got the events that are coming up that I'm aware of in March. A new event in Texas from the people that brought us Kalash Bash. They're doing one called Lethal Weapons Texas. And this is going to be same kind of like get together, shooting event and show, but it's going to be with, instead of a theme of Kalashnikovs, it's going to be the theme of 1980s movies or movie villains specifically. So an entire shooting event based on the 1980s guns, the H&Ks and the FALs and the Uzis and the fun stuff from back then. Then the Big Sandy machine gun shoot here in Arizona. And then there's 3 Blade shows now. There's Blade Show Texas, there's Blade Show in Georgia, and then there's Blade Show West, which is in Salt Lake City, Utah also. First one is Blade Show Texas. That'll happen in March. And again, we have those events that are happening that span multiple days. We also have a bunch. In March must be the month where everybody does their state guns, because that's when it looks like most of the states did their state guns. A lot of the states passed their constitutional stuff, so March must be one of the dates where all that stuff comes through. Other events, memorials, that kind of thing. Next up is April, of course. We got the NRA Museum headquarters in Virginia, just outside of DC. A lot of stuff happening in April. I guess I didn't mention over on the right here. I tried to mention, when possible, things about the month. I don't know, maybe they didn't have any before this. No, we did. We missed some. So, for example, in January, that's nothing. February, nothing that I'm aware of. But in March, that's Women's History Month, and it's month of the military caregiver. And then we've got April is AK April, of course. Month dedicated to the AK-47 and the Kalashnikov platform. It was a platform so good they had to devote an entire month to it. And then the month of the military child. And, often overlooked when people are enlisted is the kids that are getting dragged along with them. Let's see. So we've got a bunch of different events coming up in April. The Wanamaker Gun Show, the biggest gun show in the world that happens every year and twice a year in Tulsa. The NRA Museum. The World Championships in Talladega for the Steel Challenge, and then the Girl in a Gun Conference. Over hundreds, 500 plus 600 women get together who are members of the Girl in a Gun clubs. They get together for the national conference and they up-train and skill build and learn new techniques and be instructors in developing curriculums and then being advocates for Second Amendment. But some of the best stuff that's being done out there each year. 500 ladies getting together, and that's just the captains and the coaches and the teachers from the clubs. There's hundreds of clubs, 300 something clubs, I think. Girl in a Gun is an awesome effort that's being done each year. So these are the ones that we're aware of that have already gotten on the schedule, and we haven't hit any yet that have question marks. But as we get through April here, and we get into May, we'll start to see some question marks. So May is, well, on our calendar, it's the Boot Hill Museum, and this is back before they added the new building. I need to get up there and see what the new building's all about. But May is Armed Forces Week in it, and it's also National Military Appreciation Month. Well, let's see. It might be more months, Let me know if I'm missing some appropriate months. Like if it's the month of the poppy flower, I could care less, I guess. But if it's the month of the poppy flower because of World War I or something, I might be more interested. If it's the month of the big fat puppy who's being annoying, that doesn't need to be on this calendar, but it might be interesting for another calendar. All right, so some of the important things or the big things that are coming up in May, two that we know of already are the Mingle, which is a female industry event in Georgia, hosted by the Complete Combatant training company down there, and then No Other Choice Train and Learns, or will have their Train and Learn event. So that's Katie, No Other Choice, does his event for Chechen Second Amendment activists, firearms industry, and instructors. And it's a unique event, one of the best events that happens all year, and it's insanely cheap. It's definitely the one thing, if you're going to do anything that we're talking about, I'd recommend this one. That's going to be in May, May 26th and 28th, or May 26th through the 28th. It's a 3-day event. Okay, so the Mingle happens, and then I know about that. One of the things I like to include is when some of the international shooting events happen in the United States, or when, well, a lot of times the international events will have competitions that travel, or cups, or the different competitions, the championships, I guess, will travel. This year, let's see, WSPS, whatever that is, World Speed Parachute. No, I don't know what it is. Paratrap, though. So trap shooting. So probably World Shotgun Parachuting. Paratrap Grand Prix is going to be in Hinsdale Community College in the United States. Everything else, parachuting, is outside the United States this year. And I think it's like that always because it's international parachuting. Anyway, I like to put that stuff in here when it hits the United States. In this case, it's a Paratrap. And then Utah, which is a Utah Industry Range Day event, which has been going on for quite a few years now. Happens in Utah and hosts all the different companies that are from Utah. And that usually happens in May, but it hasn't been announced yet. So some of these, I just put them up there to include them, but then, I can't put them in the actual calendar yet because I got no idea when they're going to be. Makes it kind of frustrating for me, but hey, I guess they're going to set their own schedule. So again, we've got a lot of people that have been born, got stuff in here that's from the different projects that we've done over the years. We do videos, we've done Instagram accounts. We've got an Instagram account for Shooter's Almanac. Shooter's Almanac is essentially a lot of the same information, but the idea would be to write it up each year as a similar format as a farmer's almanac. So a small guide that you could fit in your pocket or have on a shelf next to the computer or next to your, or next to your desk, and then have it to access different facts about the year for firearms and shooting industry and that kind of stuff. So a lot of these things come from there, just laid out in a calendar format. Could you possibly be more of a pest? He sleeps for like hours, and then as soon as I start talking, he gets up and starts being a pest. So we'll still have to change the format around a little bit once I find out when some of these other events happen. But as you can see, you just kind of grab stuff, click on it, wiggle it, move it around, right? It just takes time. So I got some stuff in here that I've been given some feedback on, and I continue to do it anyway. Something like Clint Eastwood's birthday. He doesn't have nothing to do with guns, I guess. Same thing with John Wayne. They're born in the same, like 3 days apart from each other or whatever. But a couple of years different, 27 years different. But anyhow, some of that stuff, some of the stuff from like Red Dawn, some people say it shouldn't be in here, but hey, anybody can make a calendar. You feel free to make one without some of the stuff in it. So when we get down to June, we've got the big NRA Sporting Arms Museum that's inside the Giant Bass Pro at, it's in Springfield, Missouri. I thought it was, well, I guess it's in Springfield, so I'll shut up. I thought the name of that town was Branson. Maybe I was thinking Branson, but I was in Springfield. So anyway, I guess it was in Springfield. So it's a big Giant Bass Pro. It's also got some kind of giant fish tank. I didn't go over to the fish tank part, but the museum's actually pretty cool. It's free. You just walk in there. It's a giant store also. So we've got Blade Show coming up. We've got the U.S. Fast Draw Championship, another sporting event. And then iGold, which normally happens in Illinois in June, but I don't remember if it's like some specific day and I can just figure it out or not. So I couldn't see one that's already scheduled. So I have that one with question marks there. But then, again, we've got the different events, historic things, stuff like Heller. Now, once it all gets pretty much nailed out, I've thought about putting some like blurbs or windows in here where some of the dead spaces. Let me know if you think that's worthwhile or if that just makes it even more cluttered than it already is. When we get down to July, there's not as much stuff that happens in July. I don't know if it's because of the heat or if people figure everybody's out vacationing or what. We've got the Woolaroc Museum that's outside of Tulsa. Pretty awesome museum with a really cool museum in general. It's like a bunch of art and animals and stuff, but then in just industry, it's really a cool museum. But then it's got a cult collection there that's really, really good. And worth the trip out there. I would give it a day from Tulsa if you're out there. But we do have the first NAGA convention will be in July of next year. And then we know Rick Ector does his LADE, Legally Arms in Detroit, Free Lady Shooting Event. And this will be the 12th annual one. See, I have that wrong, so we'll put 2023 there. So that one will happen. Let's save that real quickly. Sometime in July. So I just have a question mark for that one. Tried to put, again, things like when it's Masada Yube's birthday, put the book there with them. I think it's neat to see stuff in this format because you see stuff like Colt and Glock are born on the same day. That's got to bother a lot of people, especially when you look at one of these other days. The Glock and the 1911 were both like patented on the same day or something like that. So in a lot of ways, Glock and Colt are the same person, just in a time shift. But a lot of people don't like to hear that. A lot of times when you create evidence like this, it's challenging to people who don't want to hear things like that. G23 says, I have posted that live stream for tomorrow morning live. What live stream are we talking about? Let's see. People are saying hello. Thanks for the thumbs up. Appreciate it. Thank you. Just checking over at the live stuff here. And we're going to scroll down a little bit more to what is this one? August. I don't know of any events, big events that are happening in August. I don't know if that's because of the heat or because nobody likes August. Sounds like that might be a date or a month to do something. I got the Winningham Center here, the third of the NRA museums. We had that first one at the NRA headquarters, then that second one with the Bass Pro. This is the third one. It's in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. Actually, it's way in the top of New Mexico, right where it touches Colorado. However, it's right between Red Dawn and Dragon Man. So even though it's in the middle of nowhere, there's lots of reasons to go to the Winningham Center. Plus, it's just a big giant. It's one of the largest shooting ranges that is in existence. So it's definitely worth checking out. I mean, it takes a while just to drive around. I haven't even driven around the whole thing. It takes a long time just to drive around the thing. Oh, okay. G23 is saying he'll be live streaming the measure for, or the hearing for 114. Right on. So, me and Clover will be doing our SHOT Show thing. So that was already scheduled. I didn't know about your state screwing with everybody and then scheduling that for that day. But we'll let people know it's happening. And if it's happening at a different time, we'll be checking it out. Let's see. So then the rest of the stuff that's happening in August, like I say, some people don't like it when I put stuff like Skynet in here or the Red Dawn movie being released. But hey, it was the first PG-13 movie, and it's also the best movie ever made. So I'm going to put some of that stuff in here. Otherwise, you see a bunch of people being born. We've done a lot of the illustrations and stuff. So from the first time, it was actually pretty cool putting this thing all together over the last 2 years. I was able to include a whole bunch more cartoons or illustrations of people that I've done for other projects, for the Shooter's Art Almanac or for the calendar. And So it's a little bit more complete now than it had been. Also, just learned more people's data, so was able to add more people to the database. Let's see. So then we get to be September. That'll be the Los Angeles Police Museum. Really, a really cool museum. If you're ever in LA and you're there on a Tuesday through Friday, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It's in an old police station, and it's one of the coolest museums around. Not a lot of firearms. The ones that it has are interesting for sure, but it's a police museum for sure, and it's just neat. And it's right there. Well, it's kind of in LA, so it's hard to say. It's not really at the bottom of the at the observatory mountain, but it's not too far from there. Anyhow, September doesn't show. We don't have a lot of stuff happening in September this year that I'm aware of. So if there's something I'm missing, one of the reasons we do this stuff live instead of just paying somebody in some country to do this on Fiverr is because we're interested in getting the word out and doing this as a collaborative thing. So if we're missing something, if the gun shop is doing something interesting, if there's a sport that you're paying attention to, let me know. Let's see. So next is what would be October. Now we start cooking. The weather gets cooler. Everybody's getting ready back into the swing of things, I guess. So we have the Autry Center of the West, also in Los Angeles, for the calendar, which is another cult collection. And then it's a museum of art, I guess. The rest of the museum is okay. It's all right. I don't know. It's not bad, I guess. But I think it might have been $25 to go in there. I don't know if it's worth all that. The gun museum is pretty cool. It's pretty much a Colt collection and then some cowboy guns. I might be mixing it up with the Cowboy Museum at this point. Anyhow, it's a pretty decent museum, and there's definitely a cool Colt collection downstairs. Let's see. So now we have a bunch of stuff happening in October. Again, some of the stuff is not yet scheduled, so I wanted to include it in any case. So you've got Clash Bash Texas and Red October, two industry or community shoots that are focused on the Kalashnikov. You've got the the National Association of Sporting Goods Wholesalers does their expo in October, or I should say in Ohio in October. The Cowboy Fast Draw has two events each year, so I put them in here. The one was in June, we already looked at it, and this one is called the Fastest Gun Alive World Championship. First one was somewhere else. This one's in Nevada. And then I said there's 3 blade shows. This is the 3rd blade show in Salt Lake City. And then the other Big Sandy shoot. And if you'll notice, the Big Sandy shoots went from 3 days in the past down to 2 days. So everything's getting affected. I've been mentioning the types of months. Have there been any? No, these months haven't even been named. So if I'm missing any monthly things, let me know. But of course, October is also Glocktober. And then we have Breast Cancer Awareness Month for October as well. Let's see. So then as I get into November, we've got the Texas Ranger Hall of Fame Museum in Waco. If you go to Waco, there's also a Dr. Pepper Museum there. And there's something else I forgot to see there that's there. So in November, the only thing I'm aware of this year is the Wanamaker Gun Show, and even on the horizon. I know somewhere around here is probably usually the Gun Rights Policy Conference, but I don't know what they're doing. They said kind of alluded to doing it differently or splitting it up. So I'm not really interested to see what's going to happen with Second Amendment Foundation stuff. And that would, of course, affect AMCON. So those are normally around this time of year. I didn't even know where to put them in here or what they're going to be called. So I'll be doing my best to find out from them what's up with that. Let's see. So November, though, is Warrior Care Month, and it's also Military Family Month. Let's see. We've got a bunch of different things that are associated with November, including Tony Simon's birthday. And, he's born on the same day as Stoner. Just saying. Then we get to the favorite month for some people, the month that we're standing in right now, which is December. And we put the Rock Island Arsenal Museum in here. So this is on an island in the Mississippi River next to Illinois. It's called Rock Island. And This is where most of the like fabric, like most of the canvas gear and most of the leather, I think. I don't know, I think I can say most. I mean, it was where most of the stuff was made for the military of all different kinds, and the guns were just one of the things they made. And they made guns from the tiniest guns that we used all the way up to cannons and stuff, I think. So it's just this giant island factory situation with tons and tons of stuff going on. And now it's something, and I think there's a museum on there. I haven't been there. So pretty neat place though, and some interesting guns at it. I've seen a couple of videos of it. The only thing I'm aware of that happens in December is the Small Arms Review Show that happens in the first weekend of December. Again, we've got a lot of different anniversaries and stuff, and then that's the end of the year. We've got some of our stuff on the back here to let people know about our projects, and then a quick look at 2024, and then the back of the thing, which kind of tells people where the different museums are that are featured in here. And we're calling it the 2023 Firearms Museum Calendar. But like I said, this year, the way we're setting it up, we'll have a couple of different calendars. So if there's something, I'm thinking about doing a bayonet calendar and maybe even an ammunition calendar. But if you can think of something else, let me know, because it's just a matter of swapping out some pictures and saving it as a different type of file and then printing it up or having it made or whatever. So that's a little bit of the process, and a little bit of the reason we do this stuff is, again, to get the information out there, to keep this stuff in front of people, so that if you're looking at something like a calendar at the beginning of the month, you're looking at a calendar like this going into the next year, kind of aware of some of the big stuff. The VCDL Lobby Day, got that in here. Kind of tried to hit most of the big stuff. So if you can think of something that I'm missing, something that's a multi-day event that could be covered, something that's industry that people isn't known about, that more people should know about, that's what it's all about. Well, let's see, does the change on the gun paperwork affect anything? Are we talking about the 4473s? Yeah, I would imagine it affects a bunch of people. G23 is it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Well, let me think for a minute. I think our show starts at 8 a.m., so it's probably your stuff starts after ours, unless ours goes really long. It sounds like yours is after ours. A Firearms Inventors calendar, that should be pretty simple. All right, well, we got a little bit late start today, so I do appreciate the people that joined us live. I don't know really much else to talk about tonight. This was the thing I've been working on for the last couple of days, so it should be ready before too long. We've still got a couple of things. One of the things that we've got over on the gun calendar site is this kind of a printout thing I did last year to show some of the events, and it wrapped around into next year. So I didn't know when iGold would be, so I just had a placeholder for it. I knew when Wanamaker would be, but we've got the Wild Turkey Foundation convention. I know when that's going to be, so I'll probably put that in there. I don't know when the Ambassador Academy is, but I'll want to put a placeholder for that. I've got both of these. I need to put that Antiques Arm Show in there again. I've got SHOT Show and both Wanamakers. See, we don't know when the USCCA carry show is. Some of these shows just happen, and they don't like to post their next year's event, or they can't. They just don't. I don't know if there's going to be a Trigger Con next year, but I'll definitely want to include that if there is. Stuff like the Ohio Cartridge Collectors Show is definitely not the largest show out there. It's a gun show that's focused on bullet collectors, but I like it, so I'd like to go. I've never been, but one of my things I'd like to do. So, of course, I'm going to keep adding that, and if you're aware of something like that I'm missing, let me know, because I'll be happy to add it. The Oklahoma Machine Gun Shoot, I definitely want to put that in there. That happens in June. Forgot about that one. And then Gun Prom. Part of the problem is the gun calendars itself. I had to do some stuff and move some stuff around, and some of these things are always in danger of being moved out of the shuffled out. Whenever you've got a lot of items in a database, it's easy to miss a date on one and something gets skipped. So got a couple of more things to add to the calendar. So it's not completely finalized, but it's getting there, minus the things that aren't scheduled yet. Let's see. I think besides that, though, I'll probably double check it with this even longer list that we did. And I've kind of been going through events that have happened in the past and then had ended. Do we know if Defense Dad and Travis P11 are going to be doing another shoot? And if so, when that's going to be? Thunder on the Prairie, I believe it was called. But there's other events that have happened in the past that stopped when all the business happened. Something like Dragon Man's machine gun shoots, I'll probably want to put those in there. So I don't know if the DC project is doing a rally or not. Sometimes they don't, organizations don't start talking about that stuff until the middle of next year. So that's the danger and the frustration of doing a calendar, is you can never include it all, because I don't think there's any point in time where you're going to know everything that's going to happen. I'm already in the middle of December, waited till later in the year this year to do it. And, still there's stuff that isn't scheduled. G23 says, yes, they are in June. What's in June? Oh, you're saying Defense Dad and Travis are going to do their shoot again in June? Okay, cool. So I don't know what date, but, I'm trying to find, do they have a logo for that? Like, put that logo on the thing. Let's see. So otherwise, I've got like a couple more things to add, and that'll be it. I'm not going to do all that live. It'll be boring. And I've been listening to some podcasts while I'm doing this. All right. And then, yeah, that's all there is, I guess. So again, thanks everybody for joining us. First weekend or second weekend. All right. Well, one of the reasons I do this is to let folks know that it's in process. And like I was just saying, there's nothing about a calendar that is ever finalized. You can, I'm going to call this volume 1. And then the goal would be that maybe in July, come out with a volume 2, or, reprint it in July as a volume, or depending on who buys these things, print the second one in July. And that would be almost more of a update or something, or a archive, really. All right, well, with that, we'll wrap it up. We'll say thanks for watching and listening. Tomorrow is 2A on the podcast. There's a bunch of people doing live stuff. If you're interested, check those things out. And thanks again for the people that participate by subscribing to our projects through Patreon, buying us a cup of coffee each month. Some people even buy us lunch, a couple of $3, $25, somewhere in there each month. So it adds up, and that allows us to work on projects like this. And you'll see there's not a bunch of ads on there or a bunch of anything. It's just the content. And we appreciate that ability. Also, grab stuff from our store, gearwebsites.com. We've got the eBay and Amazon and stuff. If you're interested in just buying other stuff. And no, I haven't been over. I haven't been able to get over to where the mail is, but appreciate you sending that. Whenever I get over there, I'll let you know. Or whenever I'm able to pick it up, I'll let you know. G23 is scheduled on the website for the gun range. Okay, we'll dig into it then. All right, thanks everybody for joining in. Have a good evening, and we'll be back tomorrow, same time. Well, actually, at the right normal time, midnight Eastern.
Tonight's episode, The Endangered Species.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items. We have shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms. and we'll hook you up next time you order from our gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
AskGunQuestions.com is a website that we built back in 2007, and since then, for the last 15 years, people have been able to ask questions of simple to advanced nature, and we attempt to answer them in different ways over the years. Join us now as we start a new series to answer gun questions.
The guys and gals at gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year. Practice once a month and carry every day.
Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.